Today we have the baguette. The problem with this baguette, it's a bit hard. As you can see, I got this baguette for half price. I got it for $1.40 or $1.50 instead of $2.99. This is a really good piece of bread when you get it fresh. This is the really crusty, delicious baguettes. The problem is that I didn't use it when I wanted to. I got a great price, but is it a great deal if I don't use it and I have to throw it out? It is not a good deal. I should have used it sooner, but I had things come up. We all have things come up. So what do we do when our best intentions go awry? These baguettes become bread pudding. So what do we do with them? We chop them up. This one baguette translates to probably six or so cups. It's enough to mostly fill a 2-quart casserole dish. And that's what we're going to be working with today. Now, it's important for you to realize bread pudding with a super stale baguette is not something that you make right away. It is something that has to sit for a while because you are going to need to have your batter soak into all of that very, very, very dry bread. It's going to need to sit for a couple of hours. Ideally, it would sit overnight. What you want is to have it completely soak in. And if you don't do that, you're going to have an unsatisfying bread pudding. You're going to have mostly custard. It's probably not going to set up right. And you're going to have very hard, difficult to bite through chunks of bread that have not completely saturated. Now we come to the eggs and milk. I get it. Eggs are not as affordable as they used to be. But they're also not diamonds. When you think about it, even at like 300% more than they used to be, eggs are still an affordable way to get your family protein. They're more affordable than buying, most meat, especially a healthy meat that's got as much going for it as an egg does. They're also a building block. You can't do so much in a kitchen without some eggs. In this case, we're going to be using 6 eggs, but we're making what is roughly the equivalent of about 9 to 10 servings of French toast. We would be using a lot more eggs if we were making something similar and just depending on the egg. We're building it out with a lot of milk and with a lot of bread. Okay, now we got to think sweetener. And when we think sweetener, this is when we have to make decisions about what our bread pudding is going to taste like in the end. Do we want it to be your kind of typical bread pudding that might be very cinnamon based, maybe have raisins in it, have kind of a vanilla maple profile? Or do we want to do something that's a little different? I'm going a little different today because I was just talking to my aunt who her granddaughter just had a baby. And so my aunt is a great grandma now and she's very excited about it. So I am going to make bread pudding the way my Aunt Vicky used to, which is with chocolate chips. So I want to give it kind of a chocolate chip cookie kind of profile. So instead of white sugar, we're going to go with brown sugar to give that kind of caramely base. See how rich and brown that is? Now we need salt. You gotta have vanilla. Did you know that there are savages in this world who actually measure their vanilla? Why would you do that? And now, melted butter. All right, it's time to join these two in holy matrimony. Yummy. Okay, now is the difficult part because you have to wait for something that you want to have. That's always hard. Okay, this is going to go in the refrigerator. It is going to sit there for at least 2 hours. At least. As I said, overnight would be better. I'm thinking it's probably going to be more like 4 hours for this to be done. But we want to make sure that the bread is saturated, completely saturated before we move on to baking. Also, you may have noticed I said we were making chocolate chip bread pudding, and yet there are no chocolate chips in the bread pudding. I'm not going to put those in until after it soaks because there's no reason for the chocolate to sit in the custard. We'll put the chocolate chips in right before we bake it. Okay, it's really soaked now. And that means it's time for the chocolate. I'm not going to use all of the chocolate. I'm not going to use an entire bag of chocolate chips. What I am going to do is give a nice sprinkle, maybe half a cup, maybe almost a cup, just to give us enough chocolate to pop through there, just like in a chocolate chip cookie. Now it's in the oven. We're going to leave it there for, well, we'll check it at 30 minutes. I think we're going to go 40, 45 before it's done though. Oh yeah, that's done. Okay, technical glitch. I meant to do video of the final product. I didn't. I took a picture, so there will be a picture at the end. But it's delicious. It was just the right amount of chocolate. It was caramely. It brought the bread back to being something awesome, which is exactly what you want a bread pudding to be. It can be any kind of bread. It can be leftover hot dog buns. It can be biscuits. It can be donuts. The best bread puddings that I have ever made have been with stale donuts. You can do it. You can do it with pound cake. Bread pudding is a way to stop something from being waste and make it something that you'd be proud to show off on your table, something that you'd be proud